Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Saldarriaga, and I'm a second-generation Latina science educator here at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. I'd like to welcome you all back to part 2 of our interview with Dr. Camila Cáceres for Hispanic Heritage Month. For the last segment, Dr. Cáceres will discuss some of her challenges faced in her research with small-scale fisheries in coastal Atlantic communities, what keeps her striving, and some advice for anyone looking to get into the field of environmental and marine conservation. So with your research that she did in the small-scale fishing communities, what challenges did you notice that were, the most apparent or that you encountered?
Yeah, well, doing small-scale fisheries, artisanal fisheries research has a lot of challenges because you do have the human dimension. So you want to be very sensitive to the culture, to their issues, to their heritage, any sort of historical, emotional ties that they might have to sharks.
Yep.
So they might have with sharks outside of money or feeding themselves.
Yeah.
So obviously, every time I traveled to a new place, I had to really kind of involve myself in the community and in the culture before I started asking questions about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that, I think we do have to be careful not to do parachuting science, which is, when the foreigner comes in, collects leaves, and then never gives anything back to the community.
Yeah.
And so that's really difficult as a grad student because you have limited resources, limited time. You go about doing this in the most sensitive manner that also benefits the community and not just the biology side of it. And so it really takes a lot of just time and effort getting communities before doing the project. And of course, if you're able to later move on to bigger grants, sources of money, of course, consider, bringing it back to the community with school supplies or just speech or just, providing them with whatever they need, because they're definitely very knowledgeable, happy to share about their interests and their concerns. But yeah, just getting enough funding where you're able to do the project and give back to the community is kind of the key to doing small-scale fisheries work.
Nice. That's really cool. Okay, so what has been the most rewarding part of being a young, Latina scientist? And what really keeps you motivated and what keeps your passion, going strong?
Well, the best part about being a young Latina scientist has been the even younger Latina scientists that I've been able to work with, whether they were graduates or interns or volunteers. I think for me, what's been, most fulfilling is when I had, Latina students tell me, oh, I see, you're Colombian and you went back to your country to do research while still, getting the benefits of being in the U.S., of an U.S. education and U.S. budget. And so it's great to see a lot of Latin Americans in the U.S. starting to realize that they can bring that benefits and privilege back to their home countries if they want to. They don't, just because you're doing your degree or research through an American university doesn't mean that you can't give back to your own community or country. And so then, helping and training younger scientists that then kind of did the same thing, got their degrees through a U.S. institution, but still did their field work in Latin America. I think, inspiring and supporting people to know that they can do that has probably been the most rewarding part as a scientist.
That's so cool. And so that's the same thing that I assume, keeps you motivated and keeps your passion going, is just like tying back and thinking about those moments that are, super gratifying and very validating.
Yeah, for sure. What keeps me motivated if I'm having a rough day or a long day is not only the students, so the up and coming scientists, but also the fishing communities. I mean, I've been able to have great relationship with the fishermen, with the wives, with the children. And so if a tough day because my paper, got a lot of edits. I'm like, well, this doesn't really matter that much to the community. Like, they don't really care how good my writing is, or what they care is, am I listening to them? Am I concerned about their concerns? Am I able to listen and kind of bridge communication? Because communities are communities that their voices are not heard. They don't have a voice, they already have one. It's not being heard.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with the fishing communities and with the up and coming Latino scientists, I think, are the main two things that help me get through the rough days.
Oh, that's really good. So yeah, my last question is just, what advice would you give to the Latinos who share the same passions as you and want to get into this field and maybe feel overwhelmed by, the climb and the journey?
Right. It is definitely a long climb and a long journey, but I just always tell them, do not give up. Lots of people will tell you, no, not now, not this, there. But if you're really, really that motivated about doing a specific project or helping a specific community, you might to do it as an undergrad. You might maybe not be able to do it as a master's or a grad student. Your whole life, 50, 60 years ahead of, because you can't do it this year or next year, doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to develop an amazing 20-year project in your life. So I think it's kind of just having that time scale in your mind. Yes, you're young. Yes, you're full of energy and potential, but just because something's not happening right now doesn't mean it's not worth pushing and working. Because it can still be your life goal, your life dream, your life mission, So again, don't get down on the nose right now. Keep thinking, okay, I'll do it next year. I'll do it in 5 years. I'll do it in 10 years.
That's awesome. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. And to anybody that sees the video, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments. I have my website. I'm also on Instagram, on Twitter, Camila Cáceres. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to be featured, and thank you for reaching out to me.
Thank you. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up part 2 of our series for Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much for tuning in.